Search engine optimization, SEO. First thing I want you to think about is that search engine optimization is about more than Google. Essentially, it's about any type of search engine. So the most obvious comparison would be going through Bing. Less obvious forms of SEO would be the search engine, for example, on Amazon or on Steam or on Lazada or Shopee or apps.com or any sort of marketplace. And one thing that I would advise, especially if you're working in a small business and you need to get quick results, is to focus first on app store optimization, marketplace optimization, because if you're going to show up at the top of Amazon searches, that's closer to landing a sale than showing up at the top of Google. It's also generally much easier, faster to get search engine optimization successful on these other platforms than it is on Google. And one of the reasons is because search algorithms are pretty rudimentary. So when you optimize for search on something like Amazon, it's going to be much simpler than it will be getting optimized on Google. So it might just be driven, for example, by getting lots of reviews or lots of sales. Other marketplaces are going to be even more basic than that. It'll just be driven by keyword stuffing keywords in the description, and maybe getting as many reviews as possible. So I would start there and then start focusing more on Google and Bing. Now, for the rest of the discussion, we're mostly going to focus on basically Google, Bing, search engine optimization. And the number one driver of SEO in this case is going to be relevant content. So, for example, if you search football on Google, what's going to come up is a Wikipedia page about football. And it's going to give a long description, lots of details, lots of relevant content. So that's the first thing to have is relevant content. That means creating content that caters to what people are actively searching for rather than just trying to give them what you think they want or what they should have. The number two driver is sites that are linking to you that are basically saying, yes, this is a credible source. So, for example, you'll have one website that talks about football, another website that talks about football, and then both of those will link to the page that is ultimately going to show up in search engines near or at the top for football. So, number one, relevant content. Number two, backlinks, or what you might call offsite optimization, and this you might call on-site optimization. Now, the first key step in search engine optimization is doing keyword research. And where I recommend you start with this would be using a tool such as Google Keyword Planner. Now, you may have to set up a Google Ads account to get access to this. That's fine. You don't need to actually pay for ads. You just need to set up the account. Another good source would be SEMrush, but there are lots of different search tools that you can use. You just find one that works for you. So here are some examples of where you might use these keyword planners. Here, for example, I'm doing a search for United States, all languages for the keyword luxury backpack. I see the average monthly searches is 1K to 10K. So there are a fair bit of people in the country searching for this keyword, which means it's useful. There's demand for it. And another thing to keep in mind is the time frame you're dealing with. So this is on a monthly basis. So maybe if your company works in yearly, you need to adjust that. I did the same search query using SEMrush, luxury backpack. I can see the volume estimate here is a bit more precise, about 3K versus 1K to 10K. We have global volume, all sorts of robust tools, but basically that's what we need to know, the keywords and the search volume. Now, what I did here, this is an actual SEO project that I'm running. I categorized different keywords and color coded them and looked at roughly how difficult they are, what landing pages I want to link to. So you can see at the top here some of the higher search volume ones, 1K to 10K, marketing management course, Facebook ads course. Near the middle here, we have Udemy digital marketing courses. And then in the blue in the bottom here, we have words like content marketing online courses. So these are me narrowing down which keywords I'm going to focus on and what landing pages I want to drive people to for any given keyword. Now, you can do similar types of research using SEMrush. So here I have my target keywords. I can see the intent. I can see the volume. I can see the trend. I can see like CPC data for people that are running ads, etc. SEMrush will give you tons of granular level detail. So then what I do is I take that and I say, okay, what am I going to prioritize here? I have a list of, say, 30 different keywords that are relevant, that have search volume, but what do I do? Do I start with the ones with the highest search volume? Do I start with the ones that are the easiest? And there's no easy answer here, but basically it's generally going to be a combination of these things. Does the keyword suggest buying intent? Does it suggest somebody that is searching and is actually going to end up buying my product? Or is it just people that want free information or just want easy access to something and aren't willing to pay for it? The other thing is the volume. So basically, the demand, is it significant enough to do? And the difficulty, which is a bit harder to assess because often difficulty scores are really more about how competitive it is for ads, not necessarily how competitive it is for SEO, but it can be used as a loose proxy for how competitive it'll also be for search engine optimization. So here are the keywords I narrowed down to, largely because I knew that they would drive buying intent and that I'd be able to get results fairly quickly. So within, say, a month or two, getting to the first page instead of having to wait 6 months. And one of the reasons I know there's buying intent is because of the brand keyword here, Udemy, that suggests people that are actively willing to buy. So if somebody searches Amazon, they search Lazada, Shopee, etc. They're Walmart. They're probably ready to buy, and they're more important to you in the short term than other people and other search queries. Okay. So we have the keywords and the ranks. So Udemy social media marketing, for example, on the 10th of July, I was ranked 8th. And then on the 10th of August, my ranking actually went down to 10. So that's bad. Udemy Facebook ads was in 20th place, move up to 18. Great. Udemy marketing course wasn't ranking at this time. Udemy email marketing, I went from 21st place to 9th place. Now, the important thing to keep in mind here is that these rankings are geo specific. So this is specifically where I'm ranking and tracking for Google.com in the US. But here I am in India, where you see I'm making some stronger advances in some cases and perhaps not as much in others. Yeah, so we can track the keywords here. We can track the URL, which is the landing page, the rank, the difficulty score. We can also look at other details in the actual interface and export that into a spreadsheet if you needed to share it with other people without adding another user to your SEMrush or your in this case I'm using the Moz tool. One of the most important things with SEO is to track performance over time. So it's not necessarily as relevant what your ranking is, but how your ranking is changing over time, because that shows that you're effective, you're getting the job done. And keep in mind, it's not always linear. Sometimes your ranking will go down and then up. But hopefully, if you have a portfolio of keywords, the overall trend is going to be a steady increase. Now, let's get into more details here. So, the easiest part of SEO is basically on-site SEO. So, this is putting keywords in essentially. Now, there are other tactical details too, but the hardest part of SEO is really the backlinks, is getting external websites to link to you. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail later. But here, you really just need to get the keywords right to start. So, for example, I'm targeting the keyword Udemy social media marketing. So I have groundbreaking Udemy social media marketing course as a keyword. I have social media here, social media here, social media down at the bottom. So in my description for this landing page, I have that keyword. I have another landing page where I'm including the keyword Udemy marketing course. Step up your game with the top Udemy marketing course. Another case, the keyword is Udemy Facebook ads. So I put that keyword here. Now, one thing I want to point out about SEO is that it's a little bit awkward. And the reason it's awkward is because it doesn't really fit nicely into the two general buckets that we have for digital marketing, which is it doesn't generate quick sales the way that something like Google PPC ads would or Amazon ads, for example. But it also doesn't reach your entire total addressable market the way that something like LinkedIn advertising would or Facebook advertising. So the reach is generally small. That's not always true. If you're going after really broad competitive keywords, your reach can be very big. But generally, it's not really an awareness play, and it's not really a way to generate quick sales. So it's kind of in this awkward middle ground. So the question is, why are we doing SEO if it doesn't fit into either of those buckets? Well, one reason is that it can be strategically important because if you want to secure a certain position in people's minds, like this company, this person, this brand is the authority on whatever, let's say cupcakes. Every time you search cupcake expert, cupcake chef, cupcake mastery, your name always comes up. That that is important from a branding perspective of saying of declaring I own this space, and SEO is part of owning that space. And the other key advantage with SEO is it does an excellent job of promoting yourself to in-market audiences. So these are the people that are actively shopping around. SEO doesn't necessarily do a good job creating demand with people before they go in market, but it's going to be very good at sort of capturing them when they're in the buying mindset. And so it's kind of like being in a prominent position on a shelf, and the more presence you have there, the more visibility they have there, the more likely people are to buy from you. Now, a lot of people think of SEO as sort of this technical separate thing from the rest of marketing. It's about getting the meta tags right, it's about backlinking, etc. But when you look at what really successful SEO is, it's often just a byproduct of good PR, good public relations. So you often need to think about, well, what does a journalist want to hear? What kind of stories does a journalist find worthy of publishing so that you can get those backlinks? And it's often about how do I reach out to the right bloggers, the right journalists, the right influencers. So SEO isn't, in a lot of cases, its own thing. It's really an extension of influencer marketing, of public relations. Now, the other thing I want you to keep in mind with SEO is that often you're better off not focusing on Google SEO because it's so competitive, it's so complex, it's so slow. You are often going to get much quicker, better results focusing on things like Amazon, Lazada, Apps.com, Google Play, the Apple App Store, etc. And I say that as somebody that's worked in Silicon Valley doing this hands on. I've also done this by hiring agencies to do it, by going through the keyword stuffing on the App Store and Google Play. These things are just easier than they are with Google. And in the cases of Amazon, Lazada, Shopee, etc., you're just closer to people who are willing to buy. People that are searching on Google, a lot of the time they're just researching, but somebody going to Amazon, they have their wallet open. So that's often the first place I would start, at least. But of course, owning space, owning real estate on Google, incredibly effective.